Hello and welcome to today's episode. Today we're going to be talking about why camps and retreats still matter. And this is a good one. And personally for me, it's something that is near and dear to my heart. Just got back from winter camp. I mentioned this on the previous episode. Got back a couple of weeks ago, and it was just a powerful and an amazing experience for all the students. And when I talk to my small group of now ninth grade boys who have been with their small group leader since their sixth grade year,
Wow.
one of the things that they continually say over and over is the powerful God moments that they've had at our camps. Our church typically does a winter camp and a summer camp. And last summer camp, we had 6 of the 9 of the guys that were there at camp in my ninth grade group. They were baptized, which was really absolutely totally amazing. But looking back, like they just say that there was a shift or a God moment that happened at this camp, and then this camp I connected with students in a deeper way. And I think at this particular summer camp, I mean, the fact that we were in Zion, which is like totally amazing that we have the opportunity to take students there. So just having like that as the backdrop is pretty cool. And there was one new student in our group who just had never come to our youth group before. And like on night 2 or 3, made a decision to he had, I guess if you want to use the word, I'm not really a fan of this, but if you want to use the word rededicate his life to Jesus, it was an experience of him going through a struggle. His dad was diagnosed with cancer not too long ago, and so far it's actually looking pretty good. But that sort of woke him up to wanting to pursue Jesus a little bit more. And then at camp, he made the decision. He's like, yeah, like I really do want to pursue Jesus. Like you guys are pretty cool. He's not like typically used to being in a youth group or anything like that. So this is all new to him.
I love
And
that.
yeah, and then the cool thing is we did a baptism that night for any students who wanted to do it. We were running an Airbnb, and there was like this jacuzzi, and there were a couple of students who decided to get baptized. And he's like, actually, we're going on a hike tomorrow at Zion. Is there any way that we could like baptize me there? I want to be baptized at Zion. So we talked to our
Wow.
youth pastor, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. We did it, and what a magical moment that he'll never forget.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that.
Yes. So Michaela, I mean, talk to us. How have you seen camps and retreats been being a positive experience for your students?
I mean, well, first of all, like I think I've shared with you guys, I grew up as a youth group kid. And so if I look back at my life, I have probably done multiple camps or retreats per year. Every year since I was 16. So, like, they changed my life. And then I just never stopped as I was working with students as well.
That's
Um,
amazing. I am curious, like, how many total camps and retreats do you think you've done, including being a student?
I honestly, I mean, it's got to be like over 20 to 30. I don't know. Like
Yeah,
all the,
I
I
love
mean,
it. That's
because
great.
I did, like, when I look at my like little memories thing on my phone, like I just came off of a student ministry retreat. And then, like, my time hop said, like, 17 years ago, you were doing spring retreat. And like I was in
Love it.
college, so it's just been constant for me. So not only were they powerful in my own life, but now on the other side of it, as a part of putting those things on, um, I really just think that they're an important jolt in a rhythm. Like during the school year, everybody kind of has the rhythm that ebbs and flows. But these are opportunities to pause and to like
Mm.
infuse something else into the normalcy that everybody has going on. So even though there might be a rhythm to the camps and the retreats, and when they happen throughout the year, it becomes an opportunity to shake things up a little bit and allow students and everybody, like mentors and volunteers as well, to take a moment away from the norm and like zero in on the things of God and community and all that stuff. So for me, I think it's important to take those pauses, because otherwise we just kind of keep going. And nowadays, everybody's going a mile a minute: the kids, the parents, the grandparents, everybody. And so if we don't stop to do these events, then we kind of just get lost in it.
So true. Just getting away from the hustle of life. And I don't know if your church has a policy of like, what do you do with the cell phones? But typically, either churches range from total, like, you have to leave your phone in a bag locked away somewhere, or like, hey, no cell phones. And whatever our churches do, it's just a nice distraction to be away from the cell phone, to be away from normal life.
Yeah, I think, like wherever you fall in the spectrum, because I think depending on the event, we're like any one of those at our church. But especially now that students like phones and technology is so integrated into all of our lives, one of the ways that we try to work within that is just making sure that even if they do have their phones, like how are we integrating what we're doing into that and making
Mhm.
sure that it's not just about put your phone down or don't have your phone, because we're all going to have our phones to some degree.
Yeah.
Like that's how life works. But
Right.
making sure that there's still that ability to pull away at least a little bit for a few minutes before like going back to the screen, because that's just the natural way things happen nowadays. So.
Yeah. Well, can you think of any moments in the lives of your students, or even maybe in your life as a student, where there was a big or even small God moment where something pretty amazing happened?
I think, well, first of all, for me, my call to work with students happened at church camp.
Mm.
It
That's a
was the
big one.
summer. Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal for me. It like
Yeah,
changed
let's talk
the
about that.
trajectory of my life. But I was away at summer camp, as I always
Mm.
was. I was about to graduate college. And so I was a small group leader with a group of students, and I had kiddos that I had built relationships with over time just as a small group leader. And we had a camp moment where it was like just a really worshipful time. It was one of those things where God was moving in a way where usually when kids start to lose their attention span and everybody's like, all right, when are we going to wrap this up, when are we going to be done, and the worship moment just kept going and just kept going, and
Mm.
it wasn't like, it didn't go on for 3 days or anything like that, but it went on for a very extended amount of time, and kids were going and they were praying at the altar, and I felt kind of
Mm.
removed from the moment in the sense that I wasn't necessarily caught up in it, but I was moved by watching it happen.
Mm.
And in that quiet of the moment, watching all those kids and having seen them struggle with things throughout the week, I really felt the Lord saying, you need to have the tools to minister to these students well. Because I had a kid who had eating disorder and a kid who was
Mm.
struggling with depression because of grief. And having watched these kids experience those things throughout the week, the Lord was like, you're going to have to get the tools to do that, which of course I was graduating that summer with a degree in
Mm.
communications,
Yeah.
and not student ministry. So for me, that meant enrolling in school for a master's degree and changing all of the things that I thought were going to happen. So those moments are very special to me. But I've seen multiple things happen with kids at camps and retreats. I've seen students who are struggling with like just unimaginable loss and tragedy
Mm.
have an opportunity to just be authentic in that grief and allow themselves to just process that. And then like the community being able to surround them in those moments in the raw, just upsetting moments that they were experiencing. And then I've had moments where students have just been able to have a fantastic silly time. There's been times where I had a kid who we were on a serve trip and got a little too excited to explore the food truck options on our fun day, because I don't think he usually had like lobster rolls and things like that. But that was, of course, the moment he needed to have those things. And then, of course, 2 hours later, I was cleaning all of that off of the bathroom floor and walls and the corners, basically everywhere but the toilet. So yeah, we have those super spiritual moments, and then we have the most humbling moments of just cleaning somebody else's mess off the floor. It was not great.
Oh, so true. I think that's one thing that I've noticed about camps and retreats is to just is to expect the unexpected, because something is always going to go off the rails. I mean, even at winter camp just a few weeks ago, one of our students we were snowboarding, and luckily he had a helmet on, but he wiped out pretty bad, hit his head like right on the snow face first, had to
Oh
go to
God.
the ER, ended up having a concussion, but he's okay now. It's,
Thank
a mild
goodness.
concussion. But, oh, I mean, I've had students who at 10 p.m., late at night in the cabin, can't handle the noise of the boys' cabin and literally have an emotional breakdown that lasted 4 hours. And we had to call the parent who drove all the way up to come get the kid. And then he's like, no, I want to stay. And then, parent drove all the way back down. Not too long ago, we had a kid who pooped on himself, and we had to call the
No.
parent because he didn't have any other clothes. And that was like a
At the
3-hour
retreat?
ordeal. I mean, the stories can go on and on about
Oh
the
gosh.
unexpected things that happen at camp. So it's just kind of like, hey, we're going into camp. Things are going to go crazy. Just expect it.
So probably my craziest story, which is a miracle how I ended up in student ministry after experiencing this. I was in 6th grade, so this was the first year that we were allowed to go to student camp because everything else was kids prior to that. 6th grade, sleepaway camp, maybe like 5 hours away from home, Florida. So all kinds of weather situations that we're dealing with at this time. So I want to say on like Tuesday of that week, we're all in the pool. Everybody's having a great time. And then out of nowhere, this massive storm rolls in. And like as Floridians, we're just kind of like, oh, it's fine. As long as, there's no lightning. And then you start inching closer to, as long as the lightning's not super, super close, it's fine. It's fine. But we're all in the pool, and all of a sudden the loudest thunderclap I have ever heard in my life happened, to the point where even those of us who had experienced storms before were like, we got to get out of here. So everybody bails it out of the pool. Everybody's going to their cabins. All the leaders are yelling, get inside, get inside. Apparently, one of the older students who was in high school was walking with 2 other people, got struck by lightning.
No.
It like went through his side and out his cheek.
What?
The other 2 kids that were with him got completely thrown like onto the pavement. They had to get rushed to the hospital, right? So we're getting messages back. Like we're on like lockdown. We're trying to get messages back. Like cell phones weren't a thing at this time. So like stuff is just coming in as we can get information. So then we think things are settling down. We start to find out that everybody's okay. We get to the next day, and the kids are able to actually come back from the hospital, come back to camp. Everybody can see that they're okay. We start thinking, okay, it's great. Well, we're in the middle of worship, and kids suddenly start like going back to the bathroom, like little by little, little by little. And then all of a sudden, half of the group is no longer in worship. They're in the bathroom. Apparently, they got food poisoning at this camp where everybody was eating in the cafeteria. Now, I'm a bit of a picky eater sometimes. If the food just doesn't look right, I just won't eat it. I had been eating canned peaches for 3 days. So I had none of the contamination in my system, but everybody else did. So these kids are getting sick left and right. We had to leave early. Dave Thomas, Wendy's, Dave Thomas at the time, still alive, was a friend of my pastor. And he sent Wendy's to the camp so that we could survive because the food was poisoned. We had nothing else to do.
Wait, this is the same camp, kids getting struck by lightning, Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's, giving you hamburgers, and students being food poisoned?
Yeah. So
oh my goodness.
It's crazy. We all load on the bus. Kids are still like getting sick in the grass before they get back on the bus to go home. And then I kid you not, like this was, we would always wear our t-shirts the Sunday after camp to like represent our camp t-shirt. The logo of the camp, this was planned months and months in advance. You know how student ministry works. The logo was of a person being struck by lightning because it was called Ultra Reality. And those were the shirts that we're wearing on Sunday after we've survived this week at camp, where people got struck by lightning and food poisoning and had to get rescued by Dave Thomas.
Okay, wait.
So
were the kids who got struck by lightning, did they also get food poisoning?
I don't even know. I mean, here's hoping not, because they got struck by lightning so early in the week that hopefully they were eating hospital food by that point.
Yeah. Okay. So they came back to camp, and were they okay?
They were okay. I specifically remember one of the kids had like a bandage here on his cheek and a bandage on his side. And then the other kids, they didn't have like visible, like they had like abrasions from the pavement.
Mm,
But yeah, they were walking and talking. And listen,
man.
ministry is
I mean,
wild.
that is a story that I think those students will tell for the rest of their lives.
I've been telling it for my entire life.
Oh,
It's one of those.
wow.
But
That's
camps and
crazy.
retreats, right?
Okay, yeah. Hey, so if you're listening to this out there, I'm sure you have your stories. You're not alone. We all have some crazy stories. But I have to say, out of all the wild and crazy stories I've had, I've never had a student ever, while at any youth group event, be struck by lightning. So, wow,
As a youth director, I'm
that's
very
really great.
strict about it now. I'm like, I don't care. I saw the lightning get inside because not on my
Yeah.
watch.
Well, right. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so shifting gears a little bit, one of the things that I find really interesting about camps and retreats is that the goal is to create this space where we're really intentional, for students to connect with God. But then sometimes having such a jam-packed and busy schedule sort of like gets in the way of those things. A really great example for that for me is when I did my first as a leader. I did my first ever Young Life camp, and one of the things at Young Life they do is actually build into the camp that leaders will meet up with students one-on-one. So they take one day or 2 days and they block out, a certain amount of time. It's usually like 30 minutes to an hour per student,
Mm-hmm.
and they block it out as a part of their scheduling. I did that, and that was the first time that I ever had time to do that at camp. And I have to say, it was such a powerful experience for me as a leader, but then also for students. And then I think back to all the times that I've done camp, and it's really hard to just grab a student aside, have an icy with them, whatever, and just like chat with them one on one because you're constantly doing stuff, or they're with friends or whatever. So sometimes we want to be the intentional, but then we're not as intentional on things that could work. So I am curious, what are some ways that you've been really intentional for students to connect with God or to have those kind of moments that can be life changing? And what have you seen that really has worked for you?
One of the things that we've been trying recently with our spring retreats, so we did it the first time last year, and then again this month, was it. In our retreats, we have breakout sessions, and some other ministries might already do this, but in these sessions, it's just all kinds of topics that might have to do with students' lives, or it might just be interest based. And so we have breakout sessions for our upperclassmen where they can talk about the future in college and how to even look for a college, how to find a church home while you're at college, like how to have those conversations. We have others that are about theater and how, when you're engaged in theater, how that can impact your faith life and how you can use
Yeah.
theater to talk about your faith as well. The ones that I've taught the past 2 years, the first one was about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then this year specifically was about Spider-Man. And so we have all of these different topics, and the kids just get to choose where they're going to go and chat. And so in these moments, we get to talk about just like life things. Like, it's not small group and you don't have like a focus verse that you're working through, but ultimately you're just talking about like the things that kids love and the things that are at the top of their minds. And then you get to figure out how the faith application fits into that. So in mine, we were coloring Spider-Man pages and seeing whose was the best, and talking about like all the different iterations of the character, and really focusing in on, well, who is this character? Why has he been so popular for so long? And then talking about like all the standout characteristics that he has, and then ultimately figuring out, okay, well, if this character has these things that we care about, what are the things that we have that reflect the image of God that God can use in our faith walk? And so really just providing space to not try to like force necessarily a spiritual connection, but leaving room for the things that we love about life to connect to our faith and our spirituality, which has just been a lot of fun to be able to see kids go, oh, yeah, I didn't realize that I could make that connection. Or, oh, yeah, I didn't realize that the reason I love comic books so much is because I relate to it on this level, which is something that is unique about how God created me. So it's been really cool to watch that happen.
Yeah, I love that. And I just love the whole idea that God is working and moving in all areas of our lives,
Yep.
and helping to, for students to connect to that big idea. So that's a great idea. Yeah, no, that's really, really amazing. So that's good. Okay. So anything else that we want to talk about that? I mean, I know for me, like I've been to camps where they have like they open up and have that time. They give that space for students to have time alone with God, and I've seen that be a powerful experience as well. And then I know, particularly at winter camp, and then even some past camps over the last couple of years, having that extended worship time, like if you have worship or some sort of component, even if it's a person singing on a guitar, they've been playing a guitar, just having a little extended time of worship, even after the message or before the message, and allowing students to pray for each other. I've seen that really be a powerful time. And then even sometimes like there's something that I really want to pray for about a student, and I already know that going into camp. So creating those moments where leaders can pray for students, students can pray for each other. I've seen that be a very powerful experience.
Yeah, I have seen like giving our students options after like a message or after the normal worship time, where we can say, okay, there's going to be an extended worship set over by the bonfire, or there's going to be, prayer time if you want to, or if you want to just chat and have, a cup of coffee with a leader, then you can go over here, and just giving them an option of how they might want to further connect. Because in the moment, like we all have such different individual ways of how we connect to God. And so, sure, if you automatically move into an extended worship set, it's going to be great for some people, and then it's going to be like so annoying for some other people.
Yeah, I mean, that's
but
actually
giving
a really
them the
great
option,
point.
It's like, hey,
Yeah.
choose your own adventure, like wherever you are right now, and the experience you're having with God. Figure out what's going to help you connect better, because it might be this or it might not be. So.
Yeah, that's a really great point, because everybody's at a different space in a different place, at any given point.
Yeah.
So giving them options is a really great thing to do. So I like that. Yeah.
It's fun.
How long have you guys been doing that?
It depends on what trip, but we've done it, I want to say 3 or 4 times in the past couple of summers.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so now let's talk about the pressure that we sometimes feel going into a camp, because maybe like, oh, summer camp was this amazing experience, and then we're doing summer camp again, or we're doing a winter camp again, and it's like, oh, we wanted to live up to this experience, or I don't know. There does seem to be a lot of pressure that is on us. I'm curious, do you feel that sometimes going into camp?
I think what I've had to learn over the years is to not allow that pressure to take root. I am what I call a recovering perfectionist. And so it can be super easy for me to have something happen and go, okay, great. Now we have to do this, or now we have to do more. We have to do this. And so I've had to be still and teach myself that when it comes to the pressure and the expectations, I'm going to do my best. The volunteers and all the other staffers are going to do their best to create the experience that we can create. And really, the rest is up to God. Because the students are always going to be coming in from a different headspace every single year, every single time we do something. It's going to be different students every single time. So to think that I have any power that's going to like recreate something or match something is like so futile, even though I have a tendency to want to try to do those things. So it's a practice for me to be like, you're going to do your best, and that's going to be your offering to the Lord. And then God is going to do what God is going to do with it. And then that way, when I don't enter in expecting, oh, this has to happen, or it'd be really great if this happened, I get to be surprised by God and go, look at you. Okay. All right. Fantastic.
It's so true. If you go into a camp with really no expectations or just low expectations, those are the times that you're most surprised at what happens. And at the end of the day, really, our job is to create an environment for students to connect with Jesus, right? Because he's the one who moves in their lives. I mean, all
Yep.
we're doing is just creating the space for God to move. And I think sometimes we forget that. We think that it's in the video or this cool worship set or the message or whatever. And programs are important, but at the end of the day, we want to create this space for students to connect with God.
And like, who's to say, like I could go in and say, okay, God, I really want this kid to have an amazing experience. Or even I feel like there's a temptation to get up in front of kids and go, we're expecting God to do incredible and amazing things. Like, who's to define what that is? Because one kid might think X, Y, and Z is amazing that God did in their lives, and another kid might define it completely different. So for me, I just say, I want you guys to experience God. And so they get to fill in the blank. God gets to fill in the blank. And then I get to hear about whatever it is. If you had an amazing experience with God and it was because of how you interacted in your small group, that's fantastic. I would not have clocked that for you as an individual student. But God did. And now I get to hear about it instead of thinking like this is what it should look like or this is what amazing is. I get to find out, which is awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So true. So true. It's just like we get to be a part of what God is doing in students' lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about self-care. What do you do before or after camp to take care of your own heart and soul?
I mean, I'll be honest, the before is chaos for me.
It's tough.
It's so chaotic.
It's so tough.
But I think over the years, I've learned to live into that. Excuse me. I recently, as of this year, got diagnosed with ADHD, which in hindsight explains so much of my life and the way that I operate. But people who are neurodivergent, a lot of times they are procrastinators. They are people who are just searching for like all these chemicals like serotonin and dopamine, and they're trying to find all of these things. And that's part of why a lot of us end up in student ministry is because we get all of those things from the chaos of ministry. And so for me to try to take time to like do something so crazy as to slow down or like pause before a retreat or a camp, that's just not real because I'm physically and mentally seeking the chemicals that create the momentum for me. So like, I'm just trying to make all these things happen and then keep it moving to push through the actual event. Because for me, the exhaustion and the knowledge of how much work I'm putting out right now and how much work I still need to put out to make the event happen is like overwhelming.
Yeah.
But when I push through it and I do all the things, it's not until after that I pause and I rest and I make sure that I take care of myself. Because I might be up all night the night before retreat, but that's where the adrenaline and the dopamine is. And so that's kind of into the chaos,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and by the way, welcome to the club. I am
Yay.
self-diagnosed ADHD.
Okay.
I'm not formally diagnosed, but definitely have it. And then at least one of my kids has been diagnosed. So, yeah. So I feel you on that. And there's so many times I want to get, in a good headspace and have some rest before going into a camp. Unfortunately, that never happens. But I do make sure at the end to pause, to take some time off. I've seen other leaders, like they just keep going. Like they never stop.
That is against my religion. I can't do that after an event. I gotta stop.
Yeah, gotta stop. And even if we don't want to, it's like just making sure that we create that space. Even if like we have family responsibilities, like when we get home, it's like we want to be with our own kids and our own spouse, if we're married or have kids. But I find it's just super important to unplug and to however you connect with God, however you recharge, whatever works for you. It's like lean into that because like the thing is, youth ministry is nonstop. And it continues and it goes on. You have summer camp and then you get back from that. And then, you're only a couple of weeks away from back to school, and then
Yep.
you got the holiday. So there's always going to be something. So it's like whenever you do have a big event, especially camp, take that time to pause and to reflect and to recharge.
Yeah, whatever way works. I know some people, rest for them is still moving forward, but you can move forward and continue to do things in a not work related way or not ministry related way. So my boss, she's the type of person where a project is rest for her, and so she'll come home from a retreat, and her way of resting is she'll text and be like, "Yeah, so we're getting the popcorn off our ceiling," and I'm like, "Well, what?" I just took 2 naps, so I don't know what that means for you. But for her, she's taking that time to like rejuvenate and do something that allows her to look away from ministry but still stay busy, which is important for her. I am the type of person that really enjoys margin, and I have no problems with being still and resting and binge watching a show. And either one of those is a fantastic option, whether it's continuing to do a home project or binge watching a show to rest. As long as you are resting in the way that makes sense to you, I think that's important.
Yeah, so great. And I know the thing that works for me, which again might not work for other people, but journaling my prayers, but then also journaling sort of the events that happen at camp. And that's kind of cool because then I have something to look back to in the
Yeah,
future.
I love
But then
that.
it also, as being self-diagnosed ADHD, it actually helps me process the entire event so that I can sort of like release it and then, move on.
That's so good.
And then also savor it and just really, have a spirit of gratitude about what happened. So yeah, that really works for me. And then I love reading and then just kind of slowing down for a
Hmm.
period of time, a day or two or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. All right. Well, we covered a lot of ground. Anything else that you want to chat about or talk about when it comes to camps or retreats?
I mean, they're great. And if you can do them, do them. If you can't, then keep doing what you're doing well. I went to visit a church recently, and they were having their very first retreat. And I was like, this is so exciting. This was the best energy because they were starting something new, but they had seen the value of it. So there are some churches out there where retreats are just not a thing that they're doing. Maybe camps are not a thing that they're doing. All of our ministries are going to look different, but the ways that we anticipate how good God is and what God's going to do can happen in any of those. So wherever you are in the spectrum, keep doing awesome ministry.
Yeah, great. Well, we'll just end on that note. That's awesome. Love it. Thank you so much for coming here. And this is sort of the first time that we did more of an interactive, less story driven, but then it ended up being story driven. So it's like, oh, it is story driven, but then
Yeah,
it was just more of a conversation between you and I. So I
yeah,
think
it's
we'll do
great.
more of this type of format. What do you think?
I think it's great. I love it.
That's great. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.